And keep your eyes closed. I'm recording something. Do you remember this, James? What are you doing over there?
No.
What are you up to? What's going on in your world?
Oh, I was shopping Patagonia while you were working with audio.
What'd you find?
Too fat. It looks great on the model.
Apparently, at one point, we found a list on the internet of second-tier organizations, and the only one that I remember offhand is Patagonia. So that got us looking at Patagonia, their lovely outdoor wear lines of products. Hello there.
Welcome back to Unthink Me.
Yeah, I'll say. Yep, here we are again.
As always, this is Adam and James coming at you with some things.
Namaste, my
everything?
friends. Yeah, and everything.
We're going to be talking about some chakras. How that may align with altitudes. Well, it does align. How it aligns. And we're going to go from there. I took a week off. The viewer wouldn't know because we edit and release late for this very purpose. And I intentionally did not study this topic so that I could have a fresh, unaltered mind. And I will dig deep into this as soon as we're done here.
Isn't that something? Yeah. So this is wonderful, and this is exactly what we do. We're trying to make this sort of stuff digestible and not try to be too opinionated or like cram information or ideas or opinions down your throat. But just like, hey, here's a concept. Mm-hmm. We don't know it that well, but we're gonna discuss it. As may be evident, the altitude system, as we've been teaching it, this vertical developmental scale of consciousness, developmental stages of consciousness, altitudes, from Ken Wilber's integral theory, part of his map. These stages are color-coded, not because they actually are these colors, but just as a way of organizing, as a way of going, okay, that looks like this color. If we associate colors with these memes or these trends in the self and culture and nature, then we can start to kind of have this memory mnemonic for seeing these patterns and being able to communicate about them. And it's organized in the Roy G. Biv rainbow configuration. And part of the way that I'm justifying that is saying it aligns with the chakra system. And so it's like, well, what the heck do you mean by that? So I think that's what we're going to unpack in this.
Hey, Adam.
Yes? Is it my birthday?
The heck do you mean? No, it's not your birthday. That's in January.
Oh, shooey. Can't wait. It's coming up. What are you guys going to get for me?
It is coming up.
When I talk about chakras, I'm going to talk about them probably differently than people are used to. And it's not against the tradition. It's more a particular part of the tradition. So chakras come from really, really old mythological sources. It's sort of a system of magic and myth, which is pre-medicine. So it's a total body-mind way of comprehending reality that hasn't really picked apart all the different pieces, but instead it's kind of approaching medicine as a shaman or as someone who's looking at subtle energies and intuitive forces. And so it takes some parts of the body, let's say organ systems or aspects of behavior, and it kind of clumps them together in a way really similar to altitudes. It sort of mimetizes them. And so we're going to go over briefly the really popular version of chakras, which is sort of from Indian sources, but it's new age, it's everything. You can find 12-stage chakra systems. It's most classically, it's seven chakras. And those are the ones you would probably want to get.
How are we getting 5 more chakras? How do I get more chakras for my $1?
Right. Yeah. So you can subdivide any way you like, and oftentimes there'll be subdivisions like in Chinese medicine, it's every single possible part of the body has its own kind of energy emitting thing. But I think that the way to answer that question today is just that it is arbitrary. It's just like how when we name altitudes or spiral dynamics, where we draw those lines it's a spectrum, and we're just drawing lines. We're just saying, on the temperature scale from 70 to 90, that's hot. And we're just saying that. It's like calling a plant a weed. It's down to what you want to exhibit. So you may find more chakras, generally more, or 7 or less. And oftentimes it's not intended as a vertical developmental scale. And that's the thing I want to really point out, is that to see chakras as a developmental system, similar to spiral dynamics, is compatible with chakras, but it's not the way that people typically present it.
Okay.
And so similarly to altitudes, stages, memes, these are active potentials. These are things that always exist in you or in awareness. They exist, but they're not always activated. They're not always going full blast. You're not always expressing them. All over the world, you find that the way that they start to explain meditation or spirituality, shamanism, it starts to have these chakras, and they just kind of come out of oral tradition and teachings. And basically it's a point, an energetic emitting point in your body that you bring focus to and awareness to in order to better understand your bodily systems and your own internal motives. So I think that will make more sense as we kind of explore the roles of each of the chakras. But the point I'm making here from kind of orange meme is to say that there's no electrical charge given off by a chakra. You can't photograph it. So it's not in the upper right. It's not a phenomenon there. It's about physical energy, which is something that it's placebo, it's magic. It's something you believe in and focus on.
Perception.
And you may get, perception is a better word for it. There's a specific school of yoga called Kundalini Yoga, and it's all about activating energy from your bottom chakra to the top. So the chakras align themselves through the spine, from the base of the spine to the crown of the skull. And in this sense, we're kind of seen as a serpent, the spine, because, we have the serpent parts in common. And so this is a large part of why in mythologies throughout the world, serpent-like creatures, dragons, snakes, are representative of the forbidden knowledge that's brought to an ordered situation and creates a state of chaos. It's that new meme. It's learning the new meme, and the new system becomes unstable, and there's now dichotomies that go to war with one another. So that's the progression through the Kundalini chakras. So along the course from the base of your spine to the crown of your skull, as that energy is activated, it hits specific nodes, which line up with systems of your body, which line up with modes of self-expression. So the first chakra is the base of your being. It's your anchor to the world. It's your root chakra. It has to do with elimination, right? Digestion, elimination. You consume energy so that you can move around on the planet, and then you have to eliminate the remaining waste product. So this has a lot to do with your attachment to physical things in your physical body, your hungers. So right now you can experience your root chakra as hunger, need for elimination, basic physical, warmth. Are you warm or cold? So and this is our animal body. This is what we have in common with the beasts that have brains, but they don't have this ego thing happening. However, it also starts creeping into the magenta range, and I haven't started talking about altitudes and chakras yet. So we'll just stay with chakras. All right, so that's root chakra. The sacral chakra has to do with your reproductive system. So for men and women, it's slightly different. But you can feel it in your body right now, the energies that it gives off, the motives and drives that it presents us with. So as DNA replicating organisms, we've pretty much covered all of our functionality with the first and second chakras, right? The survival and the reproduction. And of course...
What was the second?
Reproduction, sexuality, genitals.
Is the second chakra.
Second chakra. And it's called sacral chakra. I don't actually know what that word means, unfortunately, but the sacrum, the pelvis, I believe. Is that correct? Sacrum, the pelvis.
Well, I don't know.
Genitals.
So what
womb.
was the first one called? What was the first
It's the
one called?
anus, basically. It's the tailbone. It's the root chakra. So,
root. Okay, root. Then
in yoga, when you find your ground, that's connecting with that base, the base chakra, the root chakra. And so that will help you with
triangular
balance.
bone in the lower back formed by fused vertebrae and situated between the two hip bones of the pelvis.
Between the pubic bone?
That might.
Here's our great knowledge of anatomy here.
This is a PG-13 show. What is the tailbone? That's your coccyx.
Yeah, of course we knew that. Of course we knew that it has coccyx in it.
Coccyx sits right at the bottom of the sacrum, and your spine attaches to the sacrum. So the sacrum is sandwiched between your spine and your tailbone.
Okay, so anatomically it goes tailbone and then sacrum.
Mm-hmm.
So they're in with the chakras too. Quite apart from the lower right examination of magenta, I'll often talk about how it's kind of magenta and red in those zones. Those are associated with kind of sexual drives. And that seems kind of weird. But it's sort of the secondary nature of mankind is these powerful emotional urges we feel, jealousy, covetousness, attraction, and a little bit of play with kind of interpersonal power, the male kind of expressing confidence and strength.
There's only two things in life. There's death and sex.
Yeah, so, right. So that's our first two drives. So it makes sense.
Your root is, okay, am I warm? Can I survive the temperature? And am I fed? And then I need to reproduce. This is normal.
Maslow, right? So we're seeing a developmental system here. It's just that normally in New Age and stuff, we don't look at it this way. But in Kundalini, we're trying to raise our energies up through these physical, felt body senses. And part of doing that is actually aligning with worldviews and value systems. So we'll come back to that. But third chakra now, we're into what I like to call it the gut, but it's more like the solar plexus. And so, if you, whatever you associate with your gut, right? I got a gut feeling, or like hit me in the gut, dominance.
What just hit me in the gut? That's how Houdini died.
So notice a lot of the times when I talk about lower pathologies, I'm talking about sexuality and power and control. When you get into the really deep stuff, it has to do with the actual mortality, the actual base stuff. Okay, but that's pretty rare, really. Most of our pathologies, our mainstream pathologies in mental illnesses, it has a lot to do with interpersonal power and control, the sense of being somebody, the sense of having personal power and being disempowered, having no attention, and then also sexual issues with feeling like you're unattractive or unwantable or unlovable or, all that stuff. And a lot of that is actually what generates the pathology, the unacceptableness of reality to people. So I always come back to those two. Those are lower level stuff. And I always tease that apart. When you think you're having higher level issues, existential angst, spiritual crises, just ask yourself, how much of this has to do with sexuality, power, and control? And to whatever extent it does, that's what you're dealing with. You're dealing with those drives.
You got your two, death and sex. Death would be I'm unfed and I'm cold. And then sex would be, am I perceived in a light that some other creature would want to reproduce?
Yes. And if you have solid, healthy first three chakras, we're talking about a mentally healthy, reasonable person. Someone who is okay with everything that's going on. They've come to terms with things. They don't have a big axe to grind. They're just accepting of the nature of things as they are so far, right? Okay, so then next up we get into our heart chakra, and obviously the heart is associated with a lot of things. In this case, it's more to do with like yearning, belongingness, a sense of camaraderie, a sense of fitting in, I would say. That's a lot of what the heart does, an ability to make genuine connections, care and compassion for other people, possibly on a superficial level. And that's like generally what we would think of as heart. Okay, next one is our kind of throat chakra. An interesting thing has happened here.
Hold on.
Yeah, go ahead.
Dig into heart a little bit more as far as how it would align with altitudes. Is this like I mean, purple, or I don't know what you call it. In dynamics, purple is your creativity, basically. You want to understand things, so you make something up.
That's awesome.
If
That's
you don't
actually what it
understand
says about the second chakra on the little list I consulted is creativity. And I didn't really see that, but yes, magenta is creative. You know, it sees those connections. Yeah, absolutely.
So then we get up to heart. What are we at? Like,
And
blue,
now this
red
was
to
the one where I
blue?
just wanted to do chakras, but we are making those connections, but we'll get more into that. But yes, the heart I think of as being the end of the bodily stuff. Because see, we're coming up to the end of our, what do you call it? You know, our mid body, our thorax.
Core work.
And to me, it's very amber into orange. It's that passion. And maybe that passion is rewards and punishment. And maybe it's more like truth, justice, and freedom. But it's that passion. It's that interpersonal group passion. It's might even cover well, I don't want to say green per se, because that is the green via amber kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm still placing it below green. Now, as we move up to our throat chakra, an interesting thing occurs because we're now outside of our body and we're getting to our head where our brain is. And so, of course, the throat chakra is associated with communication, ability in communication, ability with language and with interpersonal connections. And when we're talking about these chakras, think about the way that things physically affect you in your life. You know, what things make you less communicative, what things make you more communicative. And those are things that are activating your throat chakra, right? What things hit you in the heart, what things hit you in the gut, what things kick you in the nuts, right? So these energies as felt in the body can be seen as coming from layers of your being, you know, levels of your being that are active now or inactive now. And this is very different than the actual practice you do. In actual Kundalini, you kind of meditate and do various exercises to physically bring energy to these physical energy centers. What we're talking about here is like a total lifestyle, total experience way of using chakras developmentally. So it is a little different.
And by exercise, do you mean like physical exercise, or do you mean like more ritualistic?
Yeah. One of them you
step?
do would be like locks. So, like in the out breath, you would hold that out breath and lock it as tight as you can. The idea is that chakra as an energy source, you can kind of like sponge it, you know, lock it up as tight as it goes, so that when you let go, it's got a lot of potential energy and it blows up and then it shoots energy through. Now, another one that has a really interesting connection, and you can use this, I swear to you, in a lot of mainstream ordinary sex practices for getting better at sex, better potency, better ejaculation, better endurance, stamina. What you do is you flex this muscle in your taint. They call it the PC muscle. It's an abbreviation. And the feeling is when you suppress your pee, you kind of squeeze that thing. That's a flex. That's like lifting a weight. Another way you can do it is while you're peeing, interrupt your pee stream repeatedly. So, brr, brr, brr. And as that thing grows more, as you grow the musculature and control of that, you gain sexual prowess for both women and men.
And for whatever reason, you're also less likely to get prostate cancer.
Yes. Well, yeah. And that's the thing about all this yoga stuff is by just wiggling these things and bringing awareness and movement to them, you cure physical illnesses for sure. You know, you're flexing muscles you don't even know you have. And so that'll be a practice, you know, with the lock in your breathing, you then pump that muscle a bunch. And that it's kind of crude, but you're shooting your own energy, your own ascending energy through your energy centers, through your body. So you're locking your anchor in, you're clenching your anus, let's say, and then you're repeatedly using your ejaculation muscle, but not for semen, for energy. And then you can lock up its ability to go upward with your breathing locked. So when you release that, and then you're shooting energy up, and then you hold your tongue in a certain position, your posture in a certain position. So the idea is you're creating a channel for the Kundalini energy to move up to higher centers of energy in your body. This is kind of mainstream Kundalini. What happens for some people I don't know exactly where science and lore overlap here, but you have this thing called the Kundalini awakening, where it's all active, there's no suppression, and you kind of have a meltdown. He kind of goes crazy, because this is where people are realizing all this stuff we're talking about in the mystical states and in the third tier. It's like a sort of ego death, annihilation, and supposedly weird phenomena with heat and electricity in the body, supposedly actual, muscular locking, seizures, things like that, like cities, magical strangeness, synchronicities, all that stuff. Freak out, total freak out, Kundalini awakening. That's the goal, because that's your startle into it. You're startled into it, and now you're in this world, and you gain, just like when you're a baby learning how to see things. At first it's startling, you don't like it, but then you learn, oh wow, this is my data, this is what I can work with. So getting into that subtle realm is very frightening. Getting into that causal realm is very frightening. It's a traumatic experience. We have people in the Discord dealing with this right now, being helped through it. Not necessarily the Kundalini awakening, but the awakening experience as trauma for the ego. Of course it would be.
Before we run too much higher, we talked about Kegeling as your root chakra, and breathing in some sort of Kegel
physical exercises.
High.
Yeah.
So then next we have sacrum. How would you, just really quickly, just so we saturate the topic a little bit, how would you exercise that one? We don't need to get too deep.
Well, I think sacrum is the PC pumping. It's the gonad exercises. That's not the only one, but this is an example of kind of that genital stimulation used to pump energy through your pranic yogic centers.
So you're getting two birds stoned at once doing that?
Hopefully. Maybe feeding them Alka-Seltzer.
So then, okay, the gut, like sit-ups?
Gut is, muscular locking. I think you would call like a bandha, like,
I would not call it that, because I don't know what that is.
And pushing. If you think about relationships of power in the gut, what happens? Oh, I kind of lock up a little bit. And you think about being really comfortable, like a baby in a cradle. The way you breathe is when you take an in-breath, your big fat stomach pops out and everyone can see. And it fills up, and it feels like you're breathing into your groin all the way down. Your whole being is filling up with air. And when you breathe out, you aren't breathing from the top of your shoulders. You're breathing from that base. Again, you're breathing from everywhere. So that is more to do with your abdomen area, how you do breathing. And if you do it relaxed, it's healthier. And you'll notice that when you're challenged, when you're nervous, when you're upset, you don't breathe naturally and healthy. And I know it's like, okay, well, that's the lungs. That should be up here in the heart chakra. But we're kind of experiencing it down here below the rib cage. And as a singer,
your diaphragm.
Proper breathing technique is same in singing, same in yoga. You're breathing into the bottom, filling it up.
When would I accidentally exercise the other ones in life? Like machine gut, we've all had to cut off a pee. We've all been there, hopefully. Otherwise, you just pee all over everything. What in life would I have accidentally done the next exercise? We did sacrum and tailbone. We've done in the machine gun pee. Next, we have gut, and you talked about breathing. And singing is part of it. If I'm not a singer and I have never kundalined, when would I have accidentally done that? Or when would that have happened just in situations?
Unfortunately, you really wouldn't have. In our culture, we don't really do this. It's a yoga thing. In yoga, you bring attention to the way that you breathe. And what you'll realize very quickly is that you don't breathe in a healthy, oxygen maximizing way. And this ages us. This harms our body. And it's because we're nervous. We're blocking our air intake because we're afraid that if we puff out, someone will stab us and we'll pop like a balloon. And everyone will see us. Who's this guy with his self out in the world? So we say, no, I'm just little. I'm over here. Don't worry about me.
That's a quick side story. I remember when I was a youth, I wasn't into boxing. My dad had a boxing gym, and so I was placed in it. And you asked me once why boxers make noise when they throw a fist, like tss.
Yeah.
And you thought it was something along the lines of like but
you
just
could
making
juke
a Bruce
someone
Lee
out.
noise. It was just for like show. And I explained to you that, like, if you're throwing your arm out and you're making that noise, if you get punched in the gut, you're already in the correct breathing pattern for the fist now in your gut to press your diaphragm up, and you get less winded. So, could it be like running into something or falling off something? Maybe you've triggered this before.
Running into things, falling off. What do you mean?
Like physical trauma to your stomach or the front part of your body would allow you to express air in the sort of similar way that you're trying to achieve, or no? Am I way off?
Receiving trauma to it, though, why would that help? Just because it would bring awareness to it and you'd have to learn how to breathe or something?
Well, I'm just trying to equate, because having never done Kundalini Yoga and just trying to not empathize, but put myself in a situation. Machine Gun Pete, perfect. I got it.
Yeah, I'm with you there. So
you said it doesn't, like,
now with the solar plexus, I feel like I'm covering this. So I think I'm a little confused. Like, just to feel how your natural breathing is interrupted by your need for conformity, basically, or your need to have personal power. So you're saying, what's a practice I can do, right? That's kind of what you're saying?
No.
Okay. See, I think I'm not.
Then I would just be doing, as someone who has never done yoga, let me rephrase, and is completely unaware of the chakras and how they interact and how to open them up and all of that. What is something I can recognize as a yoga exercise that I may have accidentally or done in life, because I think I could emotionally, or, just intellectually maybe.
Yeah, okay, how about this?
If I'm not a singer and I've never done yoga, how would I have ever in my entire life? It has to have happened.
Mm-hmm.
Human bodies are pretty dumb and basic.
Okay, here's an example.
Like being punched in the stomach, expel as much air and then you gasp because you just got that wind knocked out of you. Is that the breathing that I'm trying to get?
When you get the wind knocked out of you,
then the breath in would be bigger than you've ever taken because you have no air left.
Yeah, but it's the system is traumatized in that case, and you've lost control.
So is Machine Gun Pete.
I mean, that's a weird thing. I don't really know. I would not list that as my first choice for like a practical, like getting hit in the stomach.
This is not something that you want to repeat. That's not what I'm trying to get to. What I'm trying to get to here is, I think that all of these exercises that we've talked about and are about to talk about could equate to something that someone completely unaware of all of this may have experienced.
All right. And, so let's do one right now.
Deep breath in.
Let's do one right now. All right. So I want to stop letting my breath happen naturally, and I want to get really aggressive with it. And I want to see how that affects my mood. So I'm going to do this really intense and deliberate form of breathing.
Like sharp?
Basically, I'm hyperventilating, right? Biggest breath possible, most force possible. I feel energy rushing into my system. I'm activated. I'm alert. I'm aware. I'm with you. Right? There's a clear change in my mood. I sort of almost have, I'm hyperventilating.
Oxygenated your blood.
I've oxygenated and I'm a little poisoned by it, so I'm a little dizzy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So here I've changed the way I perceive reality by changing the way that I'm breathing.
Okay.
In this case, I'm really forceful, so that might happen if I get fucking pissed off. Go nuts. And I'll breathe like this, and I'll act like this. So the musculature that's constraining or allowing your breathing is drastically affecting the way that you handle situations. Does that make sense as an exercise? Does that work the same way as pumping my wiener?
No, but I think this is not.
They might not always be as.
Let's move on.
You want a physical, muscular thing, and this is that, but it feels different because it's talking about things that we don't have voluntary control over. And that'll be more the case as we move up. We'll start exercising our mind rather than our body. So indeed, we were kind of still up in our throat chakra, I believe. And this is what I would associate with
we barely touched the throat chakra because I brought us back. So let's explain that one again.
So throat chakra, I'm associating with mid-orange altitude up to green altitude. It's about
communication. Yeah.
And in communication, I think it's really important to say it's not just about like forming thoughts into words in your own self, forming eloquent statements or expressions. I think of this stuff very intensely in terms of the giving and the taking, the yin and the yang, right? So some people are really good at talking and being the center of attention and saying things and are expressing themselves, but they don't receive information very well. They don't listen carefully. They don't understand whenever people talk, they're like, what am I going to say next? How do I react to this? Conversational narcissism. And then you have people that are excellent listeners. They'll just, grandma, they'll sit and absorb whatever, and they'll be so curious about, why did you say that? What were you doing? That's a very intaking, and maybe they struggle to articulate their own thoughts, and they struggle with, they have low self-confidence, and they say, well, you wouldn't really care what I think or whatever, but I'll listen to you, you're really interesting. So giving and taking, this is what the throat chakra is all about. And
they both have severe roadblocks. The extremes.
Yeah.
If you're always trying to convince somebody of something, you yourself cannot be convinced.
That's pathology with the throat chakra. And again, folks, I am an armchair everything studier. I'm very into yoga. I've studied a lot of yoga. I know where I'm being weird, and I know where I don't entirely understand the conventional wisdom of particular schools of yoga. This is a real bastardization. I'll own that. But I think that this system of understanding chakras will be very beneficial, and any little points that we need to nickel and dime, that's totally fine. I'm just presenting.
You were not ready for the amount of not stupid questions, the amount of uneducated in the topic questions that I'm going to throw at you. This is why I did not want to spend 2 weeks looking into this, because then I just agree with everything you said. And I'm not trying to disagree. I'm just trying to get better knowledge through you. And I understand some self-study is necessary here.
And understanding too that the chakra notion, it was popularized in these Indian yoga systems, but it exists in all different cultures, all different ways of understanding it, all different ways of practicing it. Obviously, the Americanized version is going to be different than the current Indian version or the historical Indian version or the versions that have gone to other places of the world, been interpreted through different. So that's the trouble with a mythological system. How Islam reads the Old Testament is very different from how Judaism reads the Old Testament. But it's the Old Testament, right? It's similar. It's the same documents read differently, interpreted, rewritten differently. And chakras are like that too. So I'm doing this what I see in myself. I'm very into yoga. I've done a lot of different kinds of yoga. And chakras to me are a small part of what yoga is. But they're the part of yoga that ties over into these developmental stage theories really well. And it's all about seeing these energies in yourself, practicing them. And in this particular case, we're talking about Kundalini yoga practices, but in a more day-to-day lifestyle sense, because I'm not a Kundalini yoga teacher, right? So practicing the throat chakra, right? Now we're outside of the body, so it isn't about physical muscular exercises. This would be more about expressing yourself, practicing dialogue, practicing listening, practicing singing, expression, art. How do I articulate my thoughts to others? Are we understood? Communication. And this is what green and orange, upper orange, are all about. How do we find truth together? How does the collective arrive at conclusions? What are the right ones, right?
But still have the dichotomy of right and wrong, right?
It's coming from, and this is the Jordan Peterson point. It's all birthed out of amber, so it's got that built-in set of assumptions, and really what you're doing from orange into green is you're disassembling, deconstructing, criticizing those amber meme assumptions of good and evil and rightness and manifest destiny and all that, which have been with us from the beginning. So we're deconstructing, criticizing as you look around and panic. Yes, we don't, those are lower forms of expression. We don't want to do that on this planet anymore if we can avoid it. We've moved beyond the physical, but we're still in the body mind. We're still in the ego, which is, in a way, it's sort of still material. It's still in this objective reality working there. And we get to our third eye chakra, or sixth, I believe. I want to segue a little bit because I don't want to forget to say this. We have discovered the altitude colors don't...
You and I?
Yeah. We just did some preliminary research, and we discovered that the colors that the chakras classically use, they're pretty set in stone. They don't align with the altitudes. I'm sorry. They're a little bit off.
But they do align with stones.
They go in the same way.
They are set in stone.
Yeah, they go the same direction, and they're the same order. But what I would call, orange meme is not the orange chakra. We will compare the chakras to the altitudes, but the colors will not line up. We just want to be clear on that they don't fit perfectly. They're close.
It's two different languages. You had to give it a color.
It was making it rainbow was a compatibility measure. Yeah. And we want, and so this is an unfortunate thing. If I were talking with you and you were a Kundalini Yoga expert teacher, right, then we'd have a dialogue problem, just like you being a spiral dynamics guy, me being an altitudes guy. We have a nomenclature issue. Those
are more dialects of the same language. This is a different language.
And this is a key to understanding how magic and myth work. Is it's not that my heart and my feelings that emerge from felt sensations in my heart area are not first a color, and then I see that. It starts with me believing they're a color and making them seem that way to myself. So it's the other way, the causation is the other way. So they are arbitrary colors. It doesn't matter what color they are. We're just using those for organization. So when you meditate...
Only for the sake of explanation.
Yeah, when you meditate on your third eye and you genuinely see that blue indigo kind of color range, that's because you've trained yourself to do that. It really isn't that color, in my opinion. But people will debate the hell out of me. Again, if you're a Kundalini Yoga teacher, I'd love to talk with you, but we will probably disagree on those points, and you're probably right. Because you're an expert, right? But I'm just doing this altitudes thing, and that's my belief on the colors and how they line up. So we arrive at the third eye, which I associate with the end of first tier, entering second tier, getting interested in states. What are states? What's this religious experience thing? What's a peak experience? What's a flow state? We're curious about states, but mostly we're seeing the first tier. We're understanding our body-mind system. We're being able to step outside of it. So outside of the actual whole body, the third eye is a gateway to going beyond the body-mind. So this is what we would associate a lot with the psychic and subtle realms, where you're losing that sense of identity with the body-mind system, the ego and the body, and you're opening up your sense of identity to a felt sense of oneness with everything occurring. So you're not awareness witness yet. You're just kind of noticing that I'm not really my khakis. I'm not really my arm. If you cut my arm off, I'm still here. And you start making all these conclusions, like, weird. I'm just kind of imagining myself into being. So this is kind of what the third eye is about, and practicing it is about states. It's about visionary states. You can do a meditation on your third eye, and you can focus on this area here, and you'll find it helps to touch your tongue to the roof of your mouth. Classically, I don't know why that is, and you find your eyes kind of roll up, and you try to project yourself out through that third eye. You'll see some shit. You'll start concocting some shit if you just relax and do that for a minute. You'll start getting some theta activity. You'll start getting some creative insights. You'll start calming down. So that's like a third eye exercise. And notice, it's not physical anymore. This is a concentration practice. And so this is how yoga would approach meditation, is we're moving through these chakras, and we're now emerging from body-mind into greater awareness, or a sense of oneness with everything. Now that culminates in the final seventh chakra, the crown, which is like a halo around you. And in all the pictures of ancient, in the Christian, the way that they would depict enlightenment was with this big sun, this big corona around you. You're a light bulb, not a skull. That's the crown chakra. That's your release from the body mind into pure awareness. I am my environment. I am humanity. I am the universe.
Is that the representation of halos on angels?
That's our understanding. Yeah, that's transcendence. I'm
and like
witness.
Every one of Alex Gray's things have a halo.
Of course, yeah, big corona.
Yeah,
I got mine over there, but I don't dare move my camera. But yeah, huge. Well, I want to.
Don't do it.
No,
it'll take forever to get back.
I agree. I'm with you. So that was a breakdown of all the chakras as I kind of interpret and understand them. I didn't name the colors of them because I don't want to confuse them with the altitudes. But what we're going to do next, I think, is we're going to take the altitudes and use altitudes as though they were chakras. Less with the physical body, but more with the whole body-mind awareness system.
Don't give away too many secrets.
No, I don't want to drop the change jar.
So I do want to talk a little bit about the third eye and the sixth and seventh awareness, and was it consciousness? No. What is the sixth? Third eye is
sixth
awareness?
Is
no.
Sixth is third eye. Yeah. Seventh is the crown. The skull and the brain.
The crown was titled awareness or just bookmarked awareness. What was the third eye? Hashtag.
I like to say intuition and vision.
Okay.
Beethoven. Like that's third eye, man. That's where that stuff comes from. Where the dreams come from.
I feel like the more work I did in those areas, the more other people didn't like me. And by me, I just mean I was able to step back and look at it that they don't not like me. They don't like that I can see farther or see more of the painting, or it feels like
they covet thy neighbor.
Lower chakras want you to be at their level.
Well, buddy,
I don't mean
this is the evolutionary story. He was probably burned at the stake he had taught his brothers to light. Every meme hates the next meme, right? Every tier hates the next tier. And okay, a lot of that is owning your own reality and realizing that you're an eccentric if you're doing states in this culture. Sure.
Yes.
This is what we're all about, though, is we want to normalize this stuff. And we understand that some people are wrong. And some people think, oh, I'm enlightened, even though they're just having like a small union state, psychic state, whatever we want to call it. We want to normalize, and that's fine. No big deal. If you've never had a state, if you have no idea what we're talking about, if you're an enlightened non-dual master, like, it's just normal and okay. That's what we want to promote here. But no, in your culture, it's not. People are going to say, oh, you're crazy. You think you're like, you're one of those crazy people who thinks they're Jesus or something. Like, yeah. Because that happens.
Teddy Duchamp's boy, who's a loony. Yeah, loony. Yeah, I was fortunate enough to live in the woods. Loony. Stand by me, classic.
Beautiful.
I lived in the woods, pretty isolated, so I was free from all of this. But when I would talk to people and things about my experiences, boy, was it not well received.
I agree. Vous avez raison. And guys, if you don't
thing or just a heads up, rough water ahead.
If you like the model and everything, and you don't like the transcendent state stuff out there, I hope you still use the part of the model that you like. I'm not sitting here trying to sell you on enlightenment. A lot of people are going to try and do that. I'm just saying, like, okay, this is the thing that, in my opinion, you should check out. I stand behind it. I don't believe in it. I've experienced things that have led me to the conclusion that, like, if you do these practices for a while, they are tough. You will have these state experiences, and then we'll be able to talk. We'll be able to have a dialogue about those stages at those stages. I'm not currently at the highest ones. I have a lot of people that are talking to me from those stages, and it's okay that I'm not at those stages communicating with them. Perfectly fine.
As long as you recognize that and don't villainize them, because it's all wave-like.
It's the second tier, baby.
Stay in one thing.
We're inclusive. We include higher states, lower stages, higher stages. Everyone. Second tier.
It's
like, what do you even do with that? Nobody's used to that.
And life-changing, but it's also terrifying and isolating.
Ego obliterating.
It's not a warning.
And let me just say, guys, if you're experiencing these states, we have no ability to therapeutize you. We have no credentials. We are not legal or safe. Nope. But if you come to our Discord and start talking to people, you realize you're not alone. There's lots of people having spiritual crises, dark night of the soul, confusion about who I am and what I'm doing. This is who we're trying to invite into the dialogue. We don't necessarily have your answers, but we have maps.
We have community.
Yeah, community. I might make a mention too. I haven't talked about yoga at all, and I am like a straight up yoga guy. I was really intensive with it for many years when I was younger and in recent times. And I do want to talk about yoga. This is a specific aspect of yoga, but I use yoga as a music teacher. I find myself for the first several lessons, I'm basically teaching yoga. It's really interesting. Because with voice, the main thing you're trying to accomplish with most people is making them feel relaxed and comfortable enough to apply proper vocal technique. It's almost entirely their fear of expression and their physical control in a social. Yeah. And that's why people from musical families do so much better, is they're used to la 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 la, just doing that and not feeling like they're going to get punched in the face for doing it. Yeah. Two people looking into their eyes. Yeah.
In the very rural, with 8 kids and 2 parents, we were basically the Von Trapps. We had talent shows almost weekly, and that was normal. And then you go to school, and then you're beaten into that's not normal.
And you got me into music this very way. Like, I was in a place where you could sing. We had little ditties, but you didn't sing on pitch. You didn't care about that, and you were kind of nervous about it, and it was quiet. And then you came into my life, and you were just like belting it out. I was like, this is fun. Oh my God, let's do harmonies. Like,
yeah, oh yeah.
And it just opened up this whole thing. And now I'm like a freaking career musician, at least to some extent. And it's just from knowing people like you who spread that meme just everywhere they go. We make music. We sing and dance. It's just a choice,
Yeah. Oh boy, do I embarrass my wife sometimes. It's okay. She's getting used to that too.
Well,
no betrayal. Oh, it's cutting you out now.
I thought we'd fix that.
Maybe our laurels is a good place to rest. I'm excited.
Well, it's been another lovely show, and good to see you after the break. Oh! I have to wait a minute. Okay, here. Don't worry about me. I wanted to show you. So James got me this mic stand just to be cute. And so I made a little video that I wanted to show him.
Oh, we're gonna have a James Reacts. Got it.
Yeah. So this is just, I'm just being dumb, but this is called Unbox Me. Okay.
I mean, there will eventually be unboxing on the unboxing tour.
Hey guys, what's up? So I got this fucking box, and we're gonna see what's inside of it today. Are you ready? Get this piece of shit opened up somehow. I'm a happy man. I'm a happy man.
That label is in the way of my joke.
Oh man. Pull what to open? Exactly. You're gonna show me a diagram like I'm some kind of fucking...
Full to open. What if I'm in Canada? I'll go get a girlfriend and she'll open it.
But I hope they put some craft dinner in there. So I do that.
Inside the box.
Containing a box.
God damn it.
Well, what's in the box?
Yeah, that's how those all go.
I think it's like the 8th what's in the box we said, even though everyone hates that these days.
Shit.
Oh!
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! wad of plastic wrapped up with cables. Got some memory, some foam. Maintains its shape.
Don't forget the.
Looks like another piece of foam. We got another piece of plastic. Looks like
this is I'm going for an Oscar here.
I'll clean it out later.
Oh, okay.
And then I guess this is just like packing supplies. All right, and sweet. This is. I'm so happy with this. This is awesome. Can't wait.
Can't wait.
That's the kind of bullshit I like to pull. How do you like that? Well, that's what we got for you guys. Peace on earth.
About time to hit that old trail. Thanks for listening or watching, or we'll see you next time.
Bye. Love you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye. Love you. Bye.
Fuck off.